New details on the AEW Fight Forever video game ahead of the release later on this month. Chris Jericho says he's not interested in ever working a match against Sting in AEW. Billy Gunn says AEW has tried to bring in Sean X-Pac Walkman into All Elite Wrestling several times. Chris Statlander originally was scheduled for a match at Wrestle Kingdom 17 earlier this year. A bit of an update on the confusion surrounding Stardom's involvement in the Forbidden Door pay-per-view later on this month. Britt Baker opens up about what she loves about All Elite Wrestling. Sky Blue, in a crazy story, reveals why she was excommunicated from church, and New Japan Pro Wrestling teases 2 title series. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of All Elite Wrestling. Let's start off talking about AEW Fight Forever. We will be streaming this game live on this channel later on this month once the game is released. We have it all set up already. We're going to be streaming it live from the PlayStation 5, so we're going to be bringing you, when it comes out, AEW Fight Forever. We're going to be having a lot of fun with that. So I thought today I'd bring you some more details, some more insights, some hidden Easter eggs and hidden details about this video game. According to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, AEW's Fight Forever, of course, is slated to be released at the end of this month, late June, and Fightful have learned a little bit more surrounding the game. Those that have played the game have told Fightful they believe it will be a success based on the playability and the multiplayer aspect more than anything. Some internal criticisms have been the limited creation suite, which Fightful have been told just simply isn't expansive. There were also concerns regarding the repetitive clothing involved in other characters involved in the story mode. There was some limitation on creating the story mode itself that the developers faced, though they did take input from the actual wrestling talent involved. There were many people whose involvement on the creative aspects of the game that wrapped over a year before the actual release of the game itself. Fightful are reporting they've also heard of a funny rib included in the game surrounding the exploding barbed wire death match, of course a match that Jon Moxley had against Kenny Omega at AEW Revolution 2021, and infamously the ending was a dud to say the least. Now, according to Fightful, they are reporting that they have been told there are 2 options to the finish: a stunning, brutal explosion or a dud firework display a la what actually happened at AEW Revolution 2021. Fightful have also heard there are a number of Easter eggs, which include size-based characters and weapons, and some Easter eggs that the developers believe will be difficult for fans to find initially. There are some, or were some, who worked on the game that told Fightful they believe Kenny Omega wanted the mini-games involved in AEW Fight Forever. Sources have also said that Omega had insisted on bringing in Gator, who worked on previously successful wrestling games. Now, Fightful have mentioned in the past that the original plan was for AEW Fight Forever to be a one-off release with constant updates as DLC as opposed to a repeat release. However, Fightful have also been told that AEW does retain the rights to the game engine in the event they change their minds in the future. So the intention would be that it literally would be Fight Forever, you're fighting forever, and the game is just constantly updated through downloadable content. But we could see a situation where Fight Forever 2, Fight Forever 3, or more is released in the future. AEW hasn't truly made up their minds when it comes to that just yet. In regards to people mentioning that the game is Steam Deck compatible, that is true. The footage that Fightful has seen of wrestlers playing the game has been from that version, so you can download it from Steam as well, from the Steam Deck. So what are your thoughts on Fight Forever? Are you excited? Are you going to buy it? And as I mentioned, are you going to be tuning in when we play it here on the channel? Let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comment section below. Now, Chris Jericho has been talking on social media, when isn't he? But he says he's not interested in a possible dream match against Sting. In December 2020, Sting signed with All Elite Wrestling and made his debut with the company at the Winter is Coming edition of Dynamite. Since then, the former multi-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion has teamed with Darby Allin in various tag team matches, but he has yet to have a singles match in AEW. Earlier on this year, in 2023, Sting stated he would retire later this year when his contract with AEW expires. On June 11, Chris Jericho took to Twitter to respond to a fan who stated that his dream promo and match would be the first ever AEW World Champion against the Macho Man Randy Savage. In reply to Jericho's tweet, another fan stated that he would like to see Le Champion face Sting, since that one is one of a few possible matches left with both men in All Elite Wrestling. However, Jericho responded to say, quote, "It will never happen, not interested." Now, many fans have speculated that Sting vs Chris Jericho could happen as one of the final matches of the Icon's career, but it seems Jericho doesn't believe it will happen. Now, do you have any interest in seeing Jericho in his 50s face off against Sting in his 60s in 2023? Let me know your thoughts now in the comment section below. And is Jericho also just working on social media, or is he actually hinting at something more nefarious going on here between himself and the WWE Hall of Famer? Speaking of Hall of Famers, Sean Walkman, X-Pac, could we see him in All Elite Wrestling? Well, WWE Hall of Famer Billy Gunn, of course, he's found a new lease of life in All Elite Wrestling as Daddy Ass alongside the Acclaimed. Gunn became most famous as part of D-Generation X during the Attitude Era in WWE alongside the Road Dogg, Triple H, Chyna, and X-Pac. Speaking to Sportskeeda, Daddy Ass spoke about potentially linking back up with Sean Walkman in AEW, to which he said that the company has attempted to bring him in a couple of times. He said, quote, "I don't know if that's the thing right now because I think you'd be hard pressed to get Tony to get me away from the Acclaimed right now. No, I mean, it would be great. I think we've tried to get Sean in here a couple of times. Things just didn't work out. I think if the time's right, I think he would be a great asset because he still has huge popularity. Everybody knows him and he's such a good guy that he would not only help the younger talent as well as be a good representative for our company. He'd be amazing if we could get him in here." Now, Gunn himself was last in action at the AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view, losing a Trios World Championship match to the House of Black alongside the Acclaimed. But would you like to see Sean Walkman in AEW? Could that be where he has his final run in his career? Of course, he still is relatively young, speaking for a WWE Hall of Famer. Now, Chris Statlander, she's the current TBS champion, but if she hadn't got injured all that time ago, she might have actually appeared at Wrestle Kingdom earlier this year. In November 2022, Kairi defeated Mayu Iwatani to become the inaugural IWGP Women's Champion at the New Japan Stardom Historic X Over. Prior to her win, it was announced that the first defense of the new title would take place at the New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom 17 event on January 4th at the Tokyo Dome. At the event, Kairi defeated Stardom's Tam Nakano to retain the gold. However, it seems the Joshi promotion wanted an AEW star to compete on the show. In the Wrestling Observer Daily Update, Dave Meltzer reported that Stardom wanted current AEW TBS champion Chris Statlander to face Kairi for the IWGP Women's Championship at Wrestle Kingdom 17. The call for the TBS champion to compete on the show was made long before the Tokyo Dome events and, of course, before Statlander's injury. Statlander suffered a serious injury in August 2022 that kept her out of action for nearly 9 months, but she made her return at AEW Double or Nothing to defeat Jade Cargill and become the new TBS champion. So according to Meltzer, I guess even prior to August or around that period of time, she was earmarked to be wrestling at the Tokyo Dome at Wrestle Kingdom 17, but of course that never happened because of her injury. Now, speaking of Stardom, we spoke about this yesterday. There's been a lot of conflicting information regarding this. Fans and critics alike have discussed the possible involvement of Stardom talent taking place at the upcoming Forbidden Door event on June 25th. As previously reported, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reported that there were conversations between All Elite Wrestling and Stardom to use talent from the Joshi promotion at the upcoming show. Now, according to Dave Meltzer, on the June 10 edition of the Wrestling Observer radio show, wrestlers from Stardom are not expected to appear at Forbidden Door 2, with Stardom's Sunshine 2023 pay-per-view taking place from Yogogi National Gymnasium on the same day as Forbidden Door. The promotion's top stars are all booked for matches on that show. Detailing all the obstacles preventing Stardom from appearing at the joint AEW New Japan show, Meltzer said, quote, "There's been some talk regarding Stardom and Forbidden Door, and there's nothing going on there. This is from Stardom. First of all, none of the Stardom women have Canadian visas, so even if they wanted to do something, it would have to be rushed. Stardom has a pay-per-view that day too." We'll talk about the visas in just a second like we did yesterday. From people in Stardom, there has been no talk from their side. They have heard nothing. They said the only contact that Stardom and AEW have had, they didn't have any last year. The only contact they've had, Stardom contacted AEW about perhaps one of the women from AEW against Kairi. I believe it was at the Tokyo Dome show for the IWGP Women's Championship that they couldn't get the deal done. It was never serious. It was going to be Kairi and Tam at that show, but they did make an inquiry at that time, so that's the only contact there's been. Kairi could have a visa from her time working in WWE. I don't know that she does. I was told nobody does, and she's somebody, but none of the other women for sure do. They have a pay-per-view that day, and every key wrestler on the roster is booked for that pay-per-view. He went on to provide an update on the situation with Stardom on Sunday, that being yesterday, saying, quote, a couple of notes from last night's show. Pro wrestlers are exempt from needing visas to even though no Stardom talent has Canadian visas. And the reason he says that is because when he said that initially, full of confidence and chest, none of them have visas, so they wouldn't be able to participate in the show. Rightfully so. A lot of people on social media said that's a redundant point because you don't need one to work this show. So Meltzer was saying, quote, pro wrestlers are exempt from needing visas, even though no Stardom talent has Canadian visas. That's not apparently an issue, although Stardom was of the belief it was, but I have found out that wasn't the case. Sure, that was Stardom who found that out. That said, all the Stardom key talent is booked on a pay-per-view in Japan the same day as Forbidden Door, and there have been no talks with AEW that have even reached management as of yesterday in regard to talent at Forbidden Door, and nobody is scheduled at this point, and they are of the belief nobody will be scheduled at this late of an hour. At this point, only 4 or 5 have US visas, and we've seen with so much of the Mexican and UK talent what time-consuming process that is to get these days. Although, again, the event takes place in Canada, so again, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But what are your thoughts about that? And what are your thoughts about Meltzer backtracking about the visa issue when he found out, hey, they don't actually need one to work the event? Britt Baker has spoken about what she loves in All Elite Wrestling. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, has become the face of the AEW Women's Division as a former AEW Women's World Champion and a litany of memorable matches and moments. Whether she holds the championship or not, Baker has remained at the center of the top programs in the division since becoming the first female wrestler to sign with the promotion back in 2019. In a recent interview with What Culture Wrestling, Baker explained what she loves about AEW. She said, quote, I never really knew what to expect, which is why I love it, because when you just take it one day at a time, one foot in front of the other, everything is a surprise and a success to you. But I'm at a point now where I know in my soul and in my core, I have what it takes to be the star of the women's division. But that just makes me so much hungrier to do so much more. So it's a blessing and a curse. In recent months, of course, Baker has become even more of a focal point for the company with her role in the reality series AEW All Access alongside her real-life boyfriend Adam Cole. Further explaining what it's been like for her in AEW, Britt said, quote, it's definitely been an experience. It's something that you can't really prepare for, but I'm really thankful for the opportunity, and I think, if anything, it really humanizes us as professional wrestlers. So Britt Baker says she loves being in AEW. Now, this is a wild story regarding Sky Blue. Now, on the June 9 episode of AEW Rampage, this is why we're talking about Sky Blue in the first place, Sky Blue defeated Nyla Rose, Mercedes Martinez, and Dr. Britt Baker DMD in a 4-way match to become the #1 contender for the AEW Women's World Championship against Toni Storm. That match is taking place this week on Dynamite. They're going to be facing off on Dynamite, as mentioned, this coming Wednesday on June 14 from Washington, D.C. Now, on the latest episode of Hey EW with RJ City, Sky Blue made one of the most shocking revelations during the show when asked to name the worst thing she has ever done. She answered, quote, I got excommunicated from church. I may or may not have lit a kid on fire. Sorry, guys. Now, RJ City responded by trying to establish why this incident happened and asked whether it was simply because Sky Blue didn't like the kid. She replied, quote, I just didn't like him. I didn't like a lot of the people back then. My mother was in the back row watching and she was like, don't do it, bitch, don't do it. She gets very scared when I come to work. That's why she says, don't do dumb shit. It was one of those weird, white, creepy looking robes, so they're very flammable, and God knows when's the last time they washed them. He dropped to put out the fire. I laughed. The church also thought I was crazy because I had colourful hair. It wasn't blue though, it was pink. So she got excommunicated from church because she set someone on fire. That's crazy, but that is a wild story, isn't it? Finally, New Japan have teased 2 title match series. New Japan Pro Wrestling has teased, as I mentioned, 2 title match series. At New Japan Dominion, Bishimon defeated House of Torture and United Empire to win the vacant IWGP and New Japan Strong Tag Team Championships. Following the win, Alex Coughlin and Gabriel Kidd revealed themselves as Bullet Club War Dogs and attacked the new champions. On the June 10 New Japan Roadshow, Coughlin and Kidd once again attacked Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi before laying out a challenge for both of their titles. The Bullet Club War Dogs issued a challenge for 2 separate tag team title matches for each of their bouts at the upcoming New Japan Strong Independence Day events on July 4th and July 5th. This will mark Bishimon's first defenses of either title since winning the pair of bouts. Also announced for the Independence Day events, Jon Moxley will team with Homicide to face El Desperado and a mystery tag team partner. Meanwhile, Eddie Kingston will challenge challenge Kenta for the New Japan Strong Openweight Championship, and Catch 22 will defend the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championships against Bullet Club's Clark Connors and Dan Maloney. So more matches being announced by New Japan Pro Wrestling. So there you go, guys. It's the latest AEW news for you. Be sure to smash the like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.